Welcome to Bite at a Time Books, where we read you your favorite classics one bite at a time. My name is Bree Carlile, and I love to read and wanted to share my passion with listeners like you. You can sign up for our newsletter at biteatatimebooks.com. You'll also find our new t-shirts in the shop, including podcast shirts and quote shirts from your favorite classic novels. Be sure to follow my show on your favorite podcast platform so you get all the new episodes. We're part of the Bite at a Time Books Productions Network. If you'd also like to hear what inspired your favorite classic author to write their novels, and what was going on in the world at the time, check out the Bite at a Time Books Behind the Story podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts. Today we'll be continuing Les Miserables by Victor Hugo. Book 11th. The Atom Fraternizes with the Hurricane. Chapter 1. Some explanations with regard to the origin of Gavroche's poetry, the influence of an academician on this poetry. At the instant when the insurrection, arising from the shock of the populace and the military in front of the arsenal, started a movement in advance and towards the rear in the multitude which was following the hearse, and which, through the whole length of the boulevards, weighed, so to speak, on the head of the procession, there arose a frightful ebb. The rout was shaken, their ranks were broken, all ran, fled, made their escape, some with shouts of attack, others with the pallor of flight. The great river, which covered the boulevards, divided in a twinkling, overflowed to right and left and spread in torrents over 200 streets at once, with the roar of a sewer that has broken loose. At that moment, a ragged child who was coming down through the Rue Ménilmontant, holding in his hand a branch of blossoming laburnum, which he had just plucked on the heights of Belleville, caught sight of an old holster pistol in the show window of a bric-a-brac merchant shop. "Mother, what's your name? I'm going to borrow your machine." And off he ran with the pistol. 2 minutes later, a flood of frightful bourgeois who were fleeing through the Rue Amelet and the Rue Baisse encountered the lad brandishing his pistol and singing "La nuit en ne voit rien, le jour en voit très bien, d'un écrit apocryphe, les bourgeois s'ébouriffent, prêtise la vertu, tu chapeau pointu." It was little Gavroche on his way to the wars. On the boulevard, he noticed that the pistol had no trigger. Who was the author of that couplet which served to punctuate his march, and of all the other songs which he was fond of singing on occasion? We know not. Who does know? Himself, perhaps. However, Gavroche was well up in all the popular tunes in circulation, and he mingled with them his own chirpings. An observing urchin and a rogue, he made a potpourri of the voices of nature and the voices of Paris. He combined the repertory of the birds with the repertory of the workshops. He was acquainted with thieves, a tribe contiguous to his own. He had, it appears, been for 3 months apprenticed to a printer. He had one day executed a commission for Monsieur Bourlormian, one of the 40. Gavroche was a gamin of letters. Moreover, Gavroche had no suspicion of the fact that when he had offered the hospitality of his elephant to 2 brats on that villainously rainy night, it was to his own brothers that he had played the part of Providence. His brothers in the evening, his father in the morning. That is what his night had been like. On quitting the Rue des Ballets at daybreak, he had returned in haste to the elephant, had artistically extracted from it the 2 brats, had shared with them some sort of breakfast which he had invented, and had then gone away, confiding them to that good mother, the street, who had brought him up almost entirely. On leaving them, he had appointed to meet them at the same spot in the evening, and had left them this discourse by way of a farewell. "I break a cane, otherwise expressed. I cut my stick, or as they say at the court, I file off. If you don't find Papa and Mama, young'uns, come back here this evening. I'll scramble you up some supper, and I'll give you a shakedown." The 2 children, picked up by some policeman and placed in the refuge, or stolen by some mountebank, or having simply strayed off in that immense Chinese puzzle of a Paris, did not return. The lowest depths of the actual social world are full of these lost traces. Gavroche did not see them again. 10 or 12 weeks had elapsed since that night. More than once, he had scratched the back of his head and said, "Where the devil are my 2 children?" In the meantime, he had arrived, pistol in hand, in the Rue du Pont-à-Choux. He noticed that there was but one shop open in that street. And a matter worthy of reflection, that was a pastry cook's shop. This presented a providential occasion to eat another apple turnover before entering the unknown. Gavroche halted, fumbled in his fob, turned his pocket inside out, found nothing, not even a sou, and began to shout, "Help!" It is hard to miss the last cake. Nevertheless, Gavroche pursued his way. 2 minutes later, he was in the Rue St. Louis. While traversing the Rue du Parc Royal, he felt called upon to make good the loss of the apple turnover, which had been impossible, and he indulged himself in the immense delight of tearing down the theater posters in broad daylight. A little further on catching sight of a group of comfortable-looking persons, who seemed to be landed proprietors, he shrugged his shoulders and spit out at random before him this mouthful of philosophical bile as they passed. How fat those moneyed men are! They're drunk, they just wallow in good dinners. Ask them what they do with their money. They don't know. They eat it, that's what they do, as much as their bellies will hold. Thank you for joining Bite at a Time Books today, while we read a bite of one of your favorite classics. Again, my name is Bree Carlile, and I hope you come back tomorrow for the next bite of Les Miserables. Don't forget, you can sign up for our newsletter at biteatatimebooks.com. And while you're there, check out our t-shirt shop. You can look in the show notes or on our website, biteatatimebooks.com, for the rest of the links for our show. We'd love to hear from you on social media. You can find us everywhere at Bite at a Time Books.